All right, we're pleased to once again be joined by Chris Marler, Saturday Down South, host of College Football Uncensored, and the only Alabama guy that'll return my texts or phone calls. Chris, how you doing, buddy?
I'm good. Listen, I want to start off the show. Usually I start the show by telling you how great of a job you're doing, but I want to start off the show by telling Ollie, the Kentucky fan, how great of a job he's not doing right now. I know you're emotionally upset, Ollie. You're welcome for this shout out, but I think about you every day, man. I just after ever since that shout out a few weeks ago, I hope you're doing well, and I know you're not. And also, I hope you know that I don't hope you're doing well.
Yeah, credit to you, Chris. I mean, you've been on fire this entire season. You called that one. You called many, many others. So I had to have you on. Biggest game of the season to date in
Mhm.
the SEC, Alabama at Tennessee. Before we start on that, Chris, tell me why Bill O'Brien's the worst coordinator in the SEC.
He's not. He's a good coordinator. Bama fans hate to admit it, and he'll do stupid shit all the time. Like I tell you what, this is the you talk about the A&M game a year ago. He went, "What's in? Are you all right? What's in your drink?"
Just water.
Okay, you got
Sober,
a very
sober October.
oh no,
Yeah.
gross. Anyway, so he has this whole thing, and I know you're lying by the way about sober October, especially if you guys win this weekend. But no, he had a thing where he against A&M where he had three straight passing plays on the 1 yard line a year ago, which was stupid. I think maybe the dumbest play call I've seen all year, maybe from any team. Besides that oopsie doop play on the first play of the Kentucky Carolina game a week ago. But like when you have, you get a 77-yard run on 3rd and 15 from Jalen Milroe against Arkansas, and then you go play action pass on the goal line. That is just, that was a couple weeks ago against Arkansas. He's a good coordinator, man. They're top 10 in the offense. They're top 10 offense in the country. Top 10 defense in the country too. The whole fire Pete Golding and fire Bill O'Brien thing cracks me up.
Now, how concerned, if at all, were you last week that old Jimbo was going to dial up a play to beat Alabama?
Very concerned. I was living a fucking nightmare last week, Mike. It was my girlfriend's third birthday of the week, first off. So we went to Athens. So I had to be around Georgia and Auburn fans all day. But no, the reason why I'd be concerned, we were coming back like on a party bus. I had to watch this stupid thing on a phone. You saw it earlier in the game. He dialed up a play near the goal line that was a good play, and somebody was wide open. So why, like, I get going to Stewart in that situation. He'd been big all game, and I get all that kind of stuff. But man, you're an offensive genius. You're a quarterback whisperer, right? Like you're a QB whisperer. What? How is that your play call?
I mean, this is not a one off. I mean, it was Texas. It was all last season. These
Mhm.
close games, particularly on the road. Last week was even at
Yeah.
home. How big of a concern is that going into this Tennessee game?
So I'm not saying this in an arrogant way, and you know how my instincts are always wrong, especially when it comes to women and marriage. Just so so. But when you talk about like the concern, and I think there is one. You and I have talked about this for a while, and I think that it took a while for people to catch on. But Bama's not a good road team. They looked really good early on against Arkansas. They outside of the third quarter, they looked great for most of that game, I think. But that's still a pretty significant part when you give up 23 points and in that kind of time span. Um, I don't know what it is, but if Bryce Young plays, I'm not that concerned. And I know that sounds weird, but like I just think that the team is built to go up against a passing team better than they are against a more balanced attack. And I think Tennessee's a very, very good football team. I think they're the fourth best team in the country right now. And I've thought that for multiple weeks. Hendon Hooker's phenomenal. And I could be completely wrong. I just, for whatever reason, if Bryce plays and he plays the whole game, I don't think they lose that game. I think they win by double digits. On the contrary, if he doesn't play, I think Tennessee wins by double digits. And I don't know, that maybe that's what the strength or the not strength, but the impact of a Heisman Trophy winner is at QB. But I mean, it's two really good teams. Listen, I'm 24. Obviously, you can tell because of my skin and under my eyes and everything like that. You're obviously 48 and you're older than I am. These are all facts. But this is the highest ranked matchup we've ever seen from this rivalry in our lifetime. Isn't that kind of crazy?
No. No. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. It's great. I mean, this is the first time in that I can remember in this damn streak that Tennessee going into it is confident that they can get a win. I mean,
Yeah.
usually you're wondering if they can compete. Fans, the fans I'm hearing from, they expect a win which is dangerous because Alabama on the road, I know they're a slight favorite, but a lot of people are picking Tennessee.
Yeah.
I think the pressure's on Tennessee. And let me ask you this, Chris. I mean, Alabama, not that they will lose this game, but even if they do, it doesn't wreck their season, in my opinion. Losing an
Mm-mm.
SEC West game would be far more brutal for Alabama. So, having said all that, I mean, it's almost like the pressure is off Alabama going into this big matchup. Do you agree or disagree?
No, I kind of agree. I kind of agree. And it's weird too, because man, like I know that when the clock hits zero on Saturday, if Tennessee has more points than Bama, I'm going to be upset. Mainly because I know what's going to happen to like my Twitter, and I know what's going to happen to my text messages from you and all that kind of stuff. And it's been 15 years, but I also think just being realistic and being like an objective person, which I know is going to shock some people, but like being objective about this, I didn't expect Bama to get through this 3 game stretch unscathed. And now you look at how good Mississippi State is. I think Mississippi State is playing like a top 10 football team, just the way they're executing on offense and defense right now. It's not a foregone conclusion. They're going to win the following week. I mean, there's a very realistic situation here where like two things I'll say that I think are very realistic that we aren't giving enough attention to. We're just not as like college football fans, maybe outside of Knoxville. Um, One, that Bama could win this game in a close game against a very good Tennessee team on the road, and lose the following week to Mississippi State. And the other thing is, I don't think it's far fetched to say that at the end of this season, Tennessee could finish 11-1 or 12-0 and be going to Atlanta and be playing, waiting to figure out who they're playing based off of a rivalry week game at the end of November. And that rivalry game isn't the Iron Bowl, and it's the Egg Bowl. I think there's like 5 legitimate top 10 teams in the SEC, and I don't think it's a foregone conclusion that Bama and Georgia are the 2 best teams anymore. I really don't.
Mm. Now, let me ask you this, Chris. Everyone is talking Bryce Young. That's the biggest storyline going into this matchup. But to me, I think potentially the biggest X factor in this game is Jahmyr Gibbs.
Mm-hmm.
Tennessee's run defense looks good on paper. I think that's a factor of teams passing like crazy on Tennessee. So, thoughts on Jahmyr Gibbs? I mean, last time I had you on, you were kind of flirting with Jace McClellan being
Yeah.
Alabama's best running back. I would assume you're off that because Gibbs looks like one of the most dominant players in college football.
Yeah, I tell you what, that one step that he's got like going into the hole is really, really impressive. And I was off. Maybe that's another example of my instincts there. Just being wrong. Because Jason McClellan, after the Arkansas game, you look at it, those two players are leading the country in yards per carry. They're 1 and 2. And now you look at it, and Jahmyr is still top 4. Oddly enough, Jalen Milrose also in there. And then you know who number 5 is? It's just a fun fact for you, is Bo Nix. Just adding that in there for some fun. But no, I think it's a good 1-2 punch. But the other thing is too that we saw this, and Jace came in on a questionable Bill O'Brien call, I think, on 3rd down. I don't know why you have Jahmyr Gibbs coming in motion on the 3rd and 2 to like right before the punt, and you hand off to Jace McClellan, who had fumbled earlier in the game. You still have Roydell Williams. You got some good backs, but I do think Bama's gonna have to run the football 40 times in this game. And I think that's because they're going to get plenty of opportunities on offense because of how Tennessee's offense is and how fast they're scoring. Tennessee will put up their points, and especially early on, I think. But yeah, man, Jahmyr Gibbs, I think he's possibly the ultimate X factor at this point after what you saw the past 2 weekends. Now here's the other thing though, Mike. Is that a factor of, hey, he was playing against a pretty shitty, excuse my language, Kentucky fans, but a kind of shitty Arkansas defense and an A&M run defense, and he was able to put up that yardage? Or is it this is the Jahmyr Gibbs that we were expecting to see? He got banged up in the second half of that game. If he's not injured or if he's not healthy and something happens to Bryce, you're in big, big trouble here, because the offense, Bill O'Brien has done a bad job of showing the offense being able to rely on multiple people at once. He did a bad job of it last year. We saw that with Mechie and Williams going out. And he's done kind of a bad job of it this year. Like the offense where is this offense without Jahmyr Gibbs?
Now, in that A&M game, Chris, Alabama got the ball back about 3 minutes, 30 seconds left. They had an opportunity to ice that game, win it. And that, to me, Chris, when I think of Nick Saban, Alabama, I think of them, just ripping your throat out
Yep.
That's what they were built on. Maybe it's because college football is different. We're more spread. We're more quarterback
Hmm.
centric. Maybe it's because Bryce Young is out and they didn't have to respect the pass. But does that concern you at all? That with the game on the line, moment of truth, Alabama can't pick up a first down to ice an SEC game.
Yeah, it definitely is. It should be a concern. And another reason why it should be a concern is this time it's on offense and defense. And I'll say they weren't able to get off the field. And like A&M like that the defense played really well, and that cheetah package is great, and the three rushers in there, three edge rushers in there that you put on the field at the same time. You missed two field goals, you have four turnovers and all this kind of stuff, and you still won the game with a backup quarterback. I think that says a lot, no matter how bad of a team A&M is, and you're at home. But I watched this last year, and as somebody that grew up watching Bama and has really enjoyed the Nick Saban era, especially, one thing I was not ready to see was what Georgia did to Bama last year, which was you got a chance to put them away, and you just you're just leaning on them. Like I've always said this. This is one thing I've been frustrated about, like watching some other teams that I've really enjoyed about Saban is, but when you have your chance to put your fucking foot on someone's throat, you do it. You do it. And I don't mean to sound like so aggressive about it, but like you put your foot on someone's throat and you take their will for the rest of the game, and you in the football game, and you walk out of whatever stadium you're in as the winner and move on to the next week. Georgia did that to Bama last year. They leaned on them, started ripping off these 5-6 yard carries late in that national championship game. I don't the way this Tennessee offense is, it might not be running the football. Tennessee's capable of doing that to Bama. I mean, Tennessee's absolutely capable of doing that to Bama. And you get Cedric Tillman back. So I think it's a big concern on offense and defense if they weren't able to put that game away, and that it really ever got to that point. That's what championship teams do. Like that's what teams do is I think back in the day it used to be like this, oh, there's always one game you gotta get lucky in, like maybe Rocky Block is that example of 2009, but that's not really the case here because you're constantly giving the offense chance to score points. That's not really how football's played, I feel like, at this point. And man, they weren't able to do that really on either side of the ball, in my opinion, in the fourth quarter of that game, and that is a concern.
All right, Chris, I know you got to go pick up your 17-year-old girlfriend from her high
What's wrong
school.
with you?
Is about to get out, so I get you out of here on this prediction for the game. Who you got winning?
Who's playing? Who's at quarterback for Bama?
Bryce Young.
Bryce Young's playing quarterback. Does he play the whole game?
I think 75% good Bryce Young.
Okay.
Like, I don't think he's going to be running. I don't know how effective he's going to be pushing the ball down the field, to be honest with you.
Yeah, that's fair. I think that's a totally fair point. If Bryce Young plays, I'm going to say Bama wins this game 34-28. I don't think they cover the spread. I think I love Tennessee first half over 13 and a half points. I love all that. I'd like, if I would be shocked if Tennessee doesn't score over 14 points in the first half. Tennessee. I'm really excited, even as a Bama fan here, to see what Tennessee looks like on script, and especially with Hendon Hooker. But Hendon Hooker was great in this game a year ago, right? Cedric Tillman was great in this game a year ago, and his biggest games have come in the biggest moments, I feel like, for Tennessee over the past couple of years. I think it's close, but and I wouldn't be shocked if Tennessee won. But I would take, with Bryce Young coming back, I would take Bama.
All right, before you go, Chris, tell everybody where to find all your outstanding work.
Thanks, man. I appreciate you saying that. So, it's always good to come on here. I'm sorry this had to be rushed so I can go pick up my high school girlfriend from chess club. As you said, somebody's going to clip that and I'm going to get in fucking trouble on Twitter for no reason. I can't wait for this weekend.
Good.
No, so find me on Twitter at Vern Funquist, and Instagram at Vern Funquist, and then our podcast is called College Football Uncensored. It's not as organized or as buttoned up as Mike and that SEC podcast, but it's a lot of fun. And if you love college football and you hate the bleep button, you will like it a lot.
Okay, I can't wait to call you crying after Alabama loses. So have a good weekend with that.
You too, buddy.
All right, so hey, just want to say thanks again to Marler for joining the show. He said he had to go pick up his high school girlfriend there, so we had to keep it kind of brief there, but good conversation there.